Good morning, third grade. Today we're going to talk about how to subtract across zeros. This skill is very important because you are going to need to regroup in the hundreds, the tens, and the ones spot in order to subtract correctly. As we're going through today's lesson, I'd like you to take notes in your notebook so you have them for class tomorrow. So please make sure you're copying clearly in your notebook. The first problem I'd like you to write down is 3,000 minus 1,972. Now, when we start subtracting this problem, we're going to do the same thing we have before and start in the one spot. In the one spot, we have 0 minus 2. So I'm going to think to myself, if I have 0, can I take 2 away? The answer would be no. So I'm going to need to regroup. If I look to my neighbor, they have 0. I cannot borrow from my friend that has 0. So I'm going to look in the hundred spot. Again, another 0, so I cannot borrow from them. In the thousand spot, there is a 3. I can borrow from this number. So I'm going to cross the 3 out, and like we said before, you take down 1. So the 3 is going to become a 2, and in the hundred spot, we're going to make that 0 a 10. Still, we need to subtract in the one spot, so we need to work this regrouping all the way over to the ones. So I'm going to cross the 10 out, take 1 away, make it a 9, make the 10 spot a 10. I'm going to cross the 10 out, again, make it a 9, and in the one spot, now we will have 10. Now we can easily subtract across our ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So we're going to start in the ones. We have 10 minus 2, which is 8. Then we have 9 minus 7, which is 2. In the hundred spot, 9 minus 9 is 0. And in the thousand spot, 2 minus 1 is 1. So your difference or your answer should be 1,028. Okay? Using those skills, we're going to try another one. Again, taking notes with me as well. So as I erase my board, I'm going to give you another problem to write. In your notebook, please write down 6,000 minus 1,748. Again, make sure you are writing nice and neat so that your numbers line up correctly. Okay, again, we're going to start in the one spot. Think to yourself, can I do 0 minus 8? Hopefully your answer was no. If you don't have anything, you can't take 8 away. So we're going to go to our neighbor, which is a 0. Think to yourself, can I borrow from my neighbor, which is a 0 in the 10 spot? Again, hopefully your answer was no. So you can't borrow from a 0. So again, in the hundred spot, we have a 0. So we need to borrow from the 1,000. So we're going to regroup that 6, take 1 away, and make it a 5. In the tens, or in the hundreds, we're going to turn that into a 10. Cross it out, regroup, make that a 9, and make 10 tens. Cross that out, make it a 9, and in the one spot, we're going to have 10 ones. Now we can easily subtract across our whole problem. In the one spot, we have 10 minus 8, which would equal 2. 9 minus 4, which would equal 5. 9 minus 7, which would equal 2. And 5 minus 1, which would be 4. And I'm going to put my comma in here to show my thousands. Your difference or your answer should be 4,252. Okay? Hopefully you're starting to see how we regroup across. Again, when you come down here, you have to get it all the way down to the ones before you can start subtracting. Again, as I'm erasing my board, prepare to write another one in your notebook. The next one we're going to write is 4,000 minus 2,351. Okay? As we are doing this one, I'm going to pause and let you think about the answer before we move on. I want you to work with me on this one as we're going along. So, think to yourself, where do I need to start for this problem? Hopefully you said in the one spot. In the one spot, you're going to think to yourself again, Can I do 0 minus 1? Again, hopefully your answer was no. If you have 0, you cannot take 1 away. So where in our problem can we regroup from? Take a minute to think. Okay, hopefully you said in the thousands spot, because if I look at my tens and my hundreds, those are both 0, and I can't regroup from a 0. So we need to start all the way over here with regrouping in the thousands. When I cross the thousands out, I have 4,000. I'm going to regroup that into, hopefully you said 3,000. So we're going to make this 3,000, and we're going to make this 10 hundreds. Again, what's the next step? Hopefully you said cross the 10 out, make that 910 tens. Again, we're still not ready to subtract yet in the 1 spot. Where do we need to go next? Hopefully you thought crossing off the tens to make that 9 tens and 10 ones. Now we can easily subtract across our problem. If I have 10 minus 1, I'm going to have 9. In the 10 spot, 9 minus 5 is 4. In the 100 spot, 9 minus 3 is 6. And in the thousands, 3 minus 2 would be 1. I'm going to put my comma in there, and your difference should be 1,649. Okay, hopefully you felt a little more confident completing that one as we did this one together. Okay, we're going to do one final one today. So again, please write 3,000 minus 2,352. Okay, this one I'm going to let you try on your own. If you'd like to pause the video, finish the problem, and then continue to turn the video on, that will work perfectly. Now that you're back with the video, we're going to talk about how to find the answer. Hopefully you were successful in finding your answer and using your notes to find the answer. Always remember, you can go back into the video and start using those other examples at any time. So hopefully you realize that you could not regroup from any of your hundreds or your tens. So you need to start with the 3 in the thousand spot. That will become a 2. Your tens or your hundreds will become 10. Now cross that out, make it a 900 and regroup to 10 tens. Cross that out, make that 9 tens and regroup to 10 ones. When you subtract across, 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 5 is 4. 9 minus 3 is 6. And 2 minus 2 is 0. So I actually don't even have to write that. Hopefully you were successful in getting your answer as 648. Okay? Again, I would like you to write any questions you have in your notebook for tomorrow's lesson. Also, if you're still having some difficulties, please make sure you go back, pause the video, and re-look at some of these problems. Tomorrow in class, we'll have a discussion on what we can do to help continue with these problems and work with different ones. Okay, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Good luck with your math.